Sausage.
Hello everyone, this is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Marc, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Night Trap, a game where you watch teenage girls go to the bathroom while elderly ninjas strangle children using their ass seen on TV. I can't quite reach that kind of soup too. What the fucking voice is that? Night Trap originally came out on October 15th, 1992 for Sega CD and has since been released on a handful of other platforms, including, most recently, the Switch, PlayStation 4, and Vita. Xbox gamers may feel like they're missing out, but I assure you, you aren't. Night Trap sucks. I don't usually start off things with such blanket statements, but I really don't have much to say about Night Trap. I knew of the game when it originally came out around that time because of the controversy surrounding it and its part in the creation of the ESRB, but I never played it. Part of this is because I didn't own a Sega CD. That's probably the biggest part, or even a Genesis at the time of its release. I didn't own anything. I was poor. But the bigger factor was I was only 6 years old at the time, and why would a 6-year-old want to play a game about spying on teenage girls? I don't want them cooties. And as far as I knew, cooties could be transferred through video games, through the TV. Cooties, they were really tricky. They were a tricky little disease. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I went through puberty early, but not that early. Like 4th grade. 10? What is that? 9? 8? I feel like it was 8 or 9. I went through puberty. Oh boy, was that weird. The first time I thought something was wrong. I almost went to my mom and was like, hey, what is this stuff? It came out of me and I don't know why and what happened. Am I gonna die? Thank God I didn't do that. I just cleaned up and I fucking kept it inside like so much emotional baggage. Things are different now. My balls have finally dropped, as you can tell by my newfound deep richness of a voice. And I now see the appeal of spying. Oh no, I don't. Are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not even willing to make that joke. Ball droppings aside, I can 100% say I would have been better off if I forever kept Night Trap in my backlog, and that almost happened. Night Trap was this close to becoming the second game I didn't finish for Attack the Backlog. Spoilers, this script was written prior to me deciding that, I don't need to finish games for Attack the Backlog. That was the intention all along and I got away from that, but now I don't care. Anyway, and by this close, I mean I was minutes away from quitting the game before I finally reached one of the endings. Those last few words are the key. I reached one of the endings. Was it a good ending? No, but it was an ending, and as far as I'm concerned, an ending is an ending, and that's good enough to count as beating Night Trap for me. I'm sure some will disagree and say it doesn't count until I reach one of the good endings, but the thing about Night Trap is the only good ending, some might even call it the true ending, is when you quit the game and delete it from your hard drive. So while I may not have gotten one of the good endings, you better fucking believe I got the true ending. The problem with Night Trap is that every character sucks. I couldn't care less if all of them died because they're annoying and dumb and I hate them. The actual problem, though, is that playing Night Trap is a tedious game of memorization and repetition until you learn the correct pattern in order to make it through the game without some dude with a mustache chewing you out for failing to save. Who gives a fuck? I understand that this is all by design and you're meant to play through it multiple times to see everything and learn everything, but if what's there isn't interesting, that design choice will quickly come back and bite you in the ass real hard, and my ass is killing me right now. Nothing is gained from playing Night Trap. Nothing but the ability to say, hey, I play Night Trap. And if that's something you want to be able to say, then have at it. But don't say I didn't warn you. Night Trap is incredibly simple. It's an FMV game where you protect a group of young girls by spying on them and trapping enemies before they can sneak away. The enemies come in the form of augurs, these ninja-ass enemies who walk like they're 100 years old, and you track the situation by switching between a handful of different camera feeds. Why are these traps all over the house? Simple. The Martin family who owns the house is creepy as fuck and wants to become augurs themselves. They invite girls to their home and use said traps to sacrifice their unsuspecting guests. Also, augurs are apparently vampires, except they're so uncool, you're gonna wish they sparkled in sunlight. Conceptually, I actually don't hate it, but in execution, it's just too damn tedious and frustrating for its own good. What makes Night Trap such a pain in the ass is that failure is easy and success is hard, which is fine. However, what's not fine is that why you failed and what you need to do to succeed is not clear. You have a little counter showing how many augers you've trapped and how many have gotten away, but it's unclear if you need to trap a certain percentage of augers or just specific augers at specific times, or maybe both. If you fail, you have to start over from the beginning. There are a few checkpoints, but only a few, and replaying long sections of the game isn't fun. It's also annoying that you can't take the time to watch scenes play out because you need to be constantly searching for augers. I know this is by design, as I mentioned earlier, but replaying the first 13 minutes over and over and over again until you figure out exactly what you need to do gets old fast. It's not fun to play, it's not fun to watch. You should do neither. The end. Except, before I end this episode for real, I want to highly recommend watching My Life in Gaming's documentary about the making of Night Trap. My Life in Gaming in general does great work, and their Night Trap documentary is no exception. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say I like Night Trap anymore after having watched it, but I understand why certain things are the way they are, and at the very least, I appreciate what they were trying to do in a way I wouldn't have without the information learned from said documentary. A link will be in the description, and I, again, not only highly recommend watching the documentary, watching other My Life in Gaming content as well. Anyway, that will do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Marc. Y'all can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere at PXSausage. If you'd like to see me streaming games like Night Trap, you can do so over at twitch.tv/PXSausage. If you'd like to check out the videos I make, like the one for this here episode of Attack the Backlog, you can do that over at youtube.com/Pixelated Sausage. Speaking of Pixelated Sausage, put a little dot and com after that, and you got pixelatedsausage.com. You know what that is? Do you? Do you, punk? It's my website. It's my website. And that is where you can find this podcast and the Pixelated Sausage podcast, both of which are available on podcast services across the globe. You can also check out my art on the site, and if you see something you like, you can purchase a print of the piece you fancy. And if you fancy the site in general and anything that we do, please go over to patreon.com/PXS and support us that way. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.